To have him, I drove away his idealized love. With money and influence, I successfully made him marry me. But his idealized love still returned to the country. I caught them meeting and immediately took a picture, sending it to Eleanor. After all, Eleanor was used to a life of luxury. Who would want to go back to a cramped rental apartment? We're not what you think. His explanation was pale and weak. But I didn't care. After all, there were plenty of men out there. Plus, a devoted wealthy heir was still pursuing me. I slumped in the car seat, my gaze cold as I watched the man and woman chatting and laughing animatedly in the coffee shop nearby. Click, the phone screen instantly captured a picture brimming with sweetness, and I sent it right away. I had to admit, the handsome man and beautiful woman standing together really did look like a perfect match. One of them was my husband, with whom I had been entangled for 8 years, and the other was his idealized love, whom I had sent abroad long ago. But at that moment, aside from the suffocating feeling of my genuine efforts being wasted, not a single ripple of emotion stirred within me. I fiddled with my phone a few more times, and my husband's cheerful conversation in the restaurant abruptly ceased. I saw him smile apologetically at the woman opposite him, then stand up, grab his phone, and hurry away. Huh. He was openly dating another woman behind his wife's back, and now he was trying to pretend? Are things settled? Should we head to the family estate now? I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. There was a time I thought he was my husband, a family member I'd gone to great lengths to lure home. I forced him to go, and I forced my family to accept him. But now, I increasingly felt he was utterly unworthy of all the effort I had put in. Done. How was the coffee? Bring me a cup to try when you come back? What? Where are you, anyway? I saw Daniel furrow his brow, looking around. That expression was true. Unfamiliar. In the first 2 years of our relationship, when I had nothing better to do, I secretly followed him, installing listening devices and miniature cameras on him. Later, he resisted fiercely, like a defiant young man. Hunger strikes, jumping out windows, it was endless, giving me a splitting headache. After sending his idealized love abroad, I gradually gave him his freedom back. Of course, some of my methods were also involved. Oh, your affection for each other is truly deep. 8 years haven't worn it away. Are you planning to rekindle your old flame behind my back? Grace, I really didn't. I just came out this time too. I wasn't interested in his messy explanations. All I knew was that I was incredibly annoyed, and if I wasn't happy, no one who upset me would be comfortable either. You don't need to explain to me. Oh, right, I sent a picture to your mom. Don't bother going to the family estate today. You should spend some time placating her. With that, I hung up the phone. It's boiling, boiling hot. Here's your water. This awful weather, I don't want to step outside at all. It's cooler in the car. Cousin, what are you looking at? Family matters are best kept private, especially since my family only agreed to our marriage after I pestered them for a long time. Now that things have turned out like this, I certainly can't let my family know. I felt too ashamed. You don't want to go out, yet you went out just to buy water. Are you bothered by the heat or addicted to it? Luna pouted. Of course I'm bothered by the heat, but since I'm already out, what's wrong with buying an extra drink I love? I don't know how they make it, but even with many gourmet chefs at home, they can't replicate that taste. It seems Dad really needs to step in and acquire them. Then I can drink it every day. Drink it every day, and you'll get tired of it. If I get tired, I'll just switch to another place. Luna's spontaneous words brought a sudden clarity to me. My gloomy mood instantly lifted. Let's go, back to the family estate. Huh? Go back directly? Brother-in-law, he's busy. He won't be attending the family dinner this time. You're back? Good, your favorite dishes are almost ready. Luna, your brothers are fishing in the gardens. Go call them in. Alrighty, Aunt. I didn't leave. I quietly sat beside Evelyn, enjoying the rare time I had with her. Grace, are you in a bad mood? No, why would you ask that, Mom? Evelyn held my hand, silent for a long time, then explained. I heard that woman is back, and seeing you return alone today, I thought she had upset you. Yes, I saw her today, but it's fine. I'm not upset. You don't need to worry about such a small matter, Mom. I met Evelyn's probing gaze frankly, a smile always on my face. That's good. If you really don't want to deal with these annoying things, let me handle it. I'll help you. You are not like me. Since the person you chose is someone you love, I hope my daughter can always be happy. Evelyn and I were both products of arranged marriages. Our so-called home was cold, and the love found in ordinary families was a luxury among luxuries, scarce. But I was different from her. She accepted her arranged marriage, and both her first and second halves of life were trapped in a marital cage named profit. As for me, I chose to resist. I detested being arranged, and I rejected the eligible bachelors brought before me. Perhaps they were truly excellent, but I genuinely resisted. Marriages bound by profit made me sick. 5 years ago, after I successively beat up several potential arranged marriage partners and then furiously trashed the family estate, no one dared to interfere with my marriage anymore. After all, they couldn't bear to institutionalize me, their heir, on whom countless efforts had been spent. I was ecstatic then. That very day, I forced Daniel to register our marriage. I can't remember how I felt back then, but I remember feeling incredibly relieved, happy, and free. By the time I returned home, it was already dark. The mansion, however, was brightly lit. I didn't go inside. I leaned against the car door outside, idly counting the stars in the sky. Tiny sparks of light twinkled in the darkness. "You're back. Why aren't you going in?" Daniel, dressed in comfortable loungewear, suddenly emerged from behind the car and took the cigarette from my hand. "Smoking isn't good for you. Your mental state seems perfectly fine, though. I thought you wouldn't be back until tomorrow. Solved things with your mom already? Practice makes perfect?" Eleanor might have initially detested me buying her son's affection and disliked me. But with time, people change, especially after getting used to a life of luxury. Even though her son was now capable of supporting her, habits formed over many years weren't so easy to break. As long as I wanted, she was the most effective weapon in my arsenal. Daniel ignored my taunts and silently led me inside. He moved in and out of the kitchen, bringing out several dishes. This was his usual practice. Before today, at every family dinner, he knew I wouldn't eat much there, so he would always cook a feast for me when we returned home. Initially, it was my command, a threat, but later, it became a habit. Daniel handed me a pair of chopsticks, then lowered his head and began meticulously peeling shrimp. I ate the shrimp he peeled without ceremony. "You have time to cook for me, but you haven't figured out how to explain yourself? Grace, we're married. Can you please stop talking like that?" Daniel looked somewhat annoyed. At 15, when I provoked him, he would throw things, yell back at me, or even slam the door and leave. But at 25, he just asked me not to talk like that and continued peeling shrimp for me? He had a really good temper, but that only made me more irritated. I spent 10 years raising him to be well-adjusted, mild-mannered, and polite. YSH. Would he benefit someone else? Oh, well, excuse me. I'm in a bad mood today, and if I don't vent a little, I think I'll explode. Daniel took off his disposable gloves and knelt beside me. He looked up at me from his lower position. "Grace, I didn't betray you. We've been married for 5 years. Maybe you could try to trust me a little more. She just got back, and she doesn't know anyone here in the country. She just asked me to help her find a place to stay. Since when did all the real estate agents die out? Grace, I've known her for so many years. This is the first time she's asked for my help in all this time. Refusing her wouldn't be right." "Wouldn't be right," I chuckled, then got angry. "Wouldn't be right my foot." Back then, though my morals weren't strong, I was still a decent young woman. It's true I exploited Daniel, but I always made sure his girlfriend got more than enough from me. With all the money I've spent on Sophia over the years, I'd be entitled to it even if she knelt and called me mom. As an educated individual who studied abroad, she had no respect for agreements, returned home without permission, and was even desperate for my man's help. Appropriate? Do I need to spell out her ulterior motives for you? Seeing me grow more and more agitated, Daniel quickly brought me a glass of water. "I won't see her again. Don't get angry. It's not good for your health." I drank the water, calming myself, and gave him an annoyed glance. "I don't care what you do later, but next time you speak to me, make sure your head is screwed on straight. Also, I don't tolerate any nonsense. Whatever you two are doing, just get far away and don't be an eyesore." Daniel looked a little helpless. Was all his sincerity over the years false? Finish eating. I'll clean up when I get back." Sophia felt a little uneasy. After all this time, Daniel still hadn't called her back, nor had he even replied to a single text message. It was almost as if he was avoiding her. Could he really have fallen for the woman who forced them apart? No, impossible. He had said he would never love Grace. Sophia looked at the sunlight outside, picked up her phone, and tentatively sent Daniel a text message. "Daniel, I haven't been feeling well lately. My parents aren't here either. Could you come with me to see a doctor?" After a long while, a message finally came through. "Sorry, I don't have time today. Please hire someone." They're more familiar with the process. Sophia clutched her phone, staring intently at the line of text, as if unable to believe it. How could he? How could he actually fall for someone who had bullied him? He had always been unyielding since childhood. When they were together, if he didn't want to do something, her coaxing was useless. Daniel might just be busy. Okay, sorry to bother you. I just didn't know who else to ask besides you. Since you're back in the country, you should go see your aunt and uncle. It'll always be more convenient to be with them. Daniel sent that text message, then put his phone down and didn't look at it again, pinching the bridge of his nose. He was a married man now. He had to avoid any appearance of impropriety and couldn't make her angry again, but was clearly the biggest manipulator. She was the one who turned his life upside down overnight, she was the one who domineeringly demanded his love, and she was the one who made him suffer inner torment day and night. As she wished, he had fallen for her. The ironic thing was, Grace didn't love him. She simply didn't know how to love. 10 years. Grace, we finally managed to get you here. It wouldn't be right not to treat you today. The young man near the door, seeing that I had arrived as promised, stood up in surprise. I glanced around, then was pulled to a seat by the young man. Oh, Grace, don't worry, this place is completely clean today. You definitely won't be handcuffed by the police in the middle of your fun. Ha, you can. Be too sure. This place is practically a respawn point for your girlfriends. The young man touched his nose. How can you say that? It's not like a video game where I'm hunting monsters. Let's not talk about them. On this wonderful day, the first priority is, of course, to host you well, Grace. I just smiled politely, offering no comment on his snarky remarks. Here, your favorite cupcakes. I personally waited in line for these, it took almost an hour for my turn. That surprised me a little. Ethan usually preferred to solve problems with money. If he could use money to cut in line, he definitely wouldn't waste that much time. So good to me? Are you asking for something? Ethan weighed the spoon in his hand and put it in mine. Haven't I always been this good to you? You're already not used to it after only 2 months apart. I guess I'll have to be good to you every day for you to remember. A giving personality? Though it sounds a bit narcissistic, I have to reiterate, I won't agree to you being my kept man. Ethan, who had been lounging lazily on the sofa, immediately bristled at my words. He shot upright. No, wait, how did I offend you? Am I really that beneath you? Why can't I be your kept man? I made a face, about to massage my temples, but he swatted my hand away. Luna even said you were looking for a kept man. Am I not attractive enough? Why can't it be me? This is blatant discrimination. Ethan's tone was filled with so much grievance, it was practically dripping with bitterness. Are you out of your mind? I'm going home today. Come find me when you've sobered up. Ethan got even angrier. In the future, stop asking Luna, that kid, for information. Can you even trust anything she says? Ethan didn't speak. Either way, Grace couldn't look for another kept man. The main spouse's position was legally protected, so he couldn't compete for that. But if there was no official status, how could he let someone else snatch it? Ridiculous. Before I could get up, the lighting in the private room suddenly changed. Ethan instantly sprang from the sofa, blocking me, and challenged the newcomer. Grace finally gets a chance to go out and have fun, and you follow her here? Are you deliberately trying to ruin her mood? It was Daniel. I had to admit, I had really taken good care of him these past few years. Used to Daniel's serious demeanor, seeing him suddenly in younger clothes made him look like a college student who hadn't even left campus yet. If I took him shopping, who wouldn't call me a sugar mama? Daniel ignored Ethan, walked up to me, and extended his hand. Grace, I've come to take you home. I never liked to embarrass my own people, so I stood up with Daniel. Ethan puffed out his cheeks. Grace, go get some rest early. I won't say much about a certain jealous husband nearby. See you tomorrow. Daniel's expression was anger? Though not obvious, my mood seemed to lighten a bit. I curved my lips, and before I could even nod, Daniel wrapped an arm around my waist and led me away. He didn't say a word until we were in the car. A minute later, the car still hadn't started. Daniel looked at me, and I smiled back. After a long moment, Daniel seemed to give in, leaning over to fasten my seatbelt. I grabbed his arm, preventing him from pulling back. Just then, 2 young girls walked by. Hearing their surprised gasps, Daniel's earlobes turned a little red. Grace, please, let go. Even after the 2 girls had passed, I didn't release him. Instead, I curiously rubbed his ear. It's hot. His ear instantly became redder and hotter. Daniel, when I got close to you, your ears turned red. Daniel pulled my hand away and sat back properly. For some reason, I felt his mood seemed to have worsened. Why are you angry again? Daniel started the car. I'm not. Yes, you are. Does it matter to you whether I'm angry or not? Just like our Mari, Daniel's voice trailed off, but I knew what he was going to say. It doesn't matter, I answered him silently. Just like our marriage, whether he agreed or not, he had to marry me. But I wouldn't say that. Instead, I looked at him with a sincere gaze. Of course it matters. We're family. Caring for you is my duty as your wife. Daniel gripped the steering wheel tightly, and after a long moment, he replied. Grace, you were born to be a brilliant actress. I was puzzled and wanted to ask further, but then I saw his slightly reddened eyes in the rearview mirror. Daniel, was he crying? This was the first time I'd seen him so distraught since we got married. Looking at that red tint, I felt a little anxious, my fingers unconsciously fiddling with my bag, desperately trying to find a reason for Daniel's behavior. Why was Daniel crying? Because he saw Ethan today? Or because Luna spread rumors that I was looking for a kept man? An actor? Why would he insult me for being a faker and then cry himself? Until the car pulled into the garage, I still didn't have a clear answer, but I had a mouth, so I asked directly. Daniel, why are your eyes red? Because I caught jealousy. What a frightening answer. I completely didn't expect it. Daniel led me to the sofa and sat me down, then he himself half knelt in front of me. He slowly wrapped his arms around my waist, burying his head in my lap, his voice muffled. Grace, let's make things work between us from now on. I'll never see Sophia again, and you won't look for a kept man, okay? Look, if I change my clothes, I'm not that much different from a younger guy. Sure enough, another victim who believed the rumors. But, it seemed good. I ran my hand through Daniel's hair, which wasn't styled. It was thick, not soft, but pleasant to touch. With such a favorable situation, only a fool would clarify. You know our marriage wasn't a natural progression, so I've always been afraid you'd leave me. Sophia has always been a thorn in my side. I never really wanted to look for anyone else, I just wanted to annoy you, to make you pay more attention to me. Love can transform a stranger into someone familiar, so Daniel knew Grace's words were utter nonsense. Her so-called fear was nothing more than possessiveness over her belongings. The thorn in her side was even less significant. Intentionally annoying him was obviously false. Making him care was even more absurd. But he couldn't expose her. It's good you're not looking for anyone else. I won't see Sophia again. Let's both do well. But things aren't always how one person wants them to be. Daniel still saw Sophia. In fact, their photos entering a hotel were still clearly on my phone. I kicked open the door, staring coldly at the man and woman on the bed. I'm not a violent person, but I'm no ninja. I couldn't just keep my anger bottled up. I grabbed the naked Sophia and slapped her hard several times, maybe a dozen times. I was too furious to remember clearly. She was currently the only person who had ever infuriated me to this extent. Ethan, with his eyes closed, pulled me away. Daniel remained silent throughout, simply sitting blankly on the bed, watching the farce begin and end. Ethan took me to leave, but was then stopped by an arm. I looked at Daniel's red, tear-filled eyes, and coldly told him to let go. An unfaithful man has no right to hold Grace back. Grace finds him dirty. Ethan tried to swat Daniel's hand away, but his arm was already red, and Daniel didn't budge. He just looked at me with pleading eyes, very pathetic, enough to make one's heart ache. But I felt that I was the one who should be crying in this whole situation, and I really didn't want to spare any extra sympathy. Let go. Almost as soon as I said those two words, Daniel quickly released me. Grace, I don't know what happened. I didn't mean to betray you. Daniel's mind was in a mess right then. He only dared to say didn't mean to betray instead of didn't betray. I could hear my calm voice echoing in the room. I believe you, but didn't you say you wouldn't see Sophia again? You broke your promise. Ethan took me back to his place. He brought me water, then fruit, then snacks, scurrying around like a headless chicken. Ethan, can you just sit still for a bit? Ethan pursed his lips, deliberated for a long time, then just said, okay. Seeing his exasperated look, I couldn't help but laugh. Ethan's eyes instantly lit up. He leaned towards me. Grace, aren't you angry anymore? I casually picked up a banana and tossed it to Ethan. Of course I'm angry, but actually, not really. I just wanted to beat Sophia up. Ethan diligently peeled it and handed it back to me. You believe Daniel? Why wouldn't I? I'm not crazy. It's obvious he was set up. Ethan fell silent. He muttered stupid in love under his breath. But no matter what, Daniel was touched by another woman, even if he wasn't, he was seen naked by another woman. He's not worthy of you. Ethan enthusiastically fanned the flames, and I massaged my temples. Nothing is clear right now. I don't want to talk about him anymore. Alright, if you don't want to talk about him, let's talk about us. I feigned ignorance, asking, what's there to talk about between us? Daniel has his idealized love, but you don't. Comparatively, you're already at a disadvantage. And now, well, you need to find a kept man to get even, don't you? I nodded indifferently, but I didn't hold back on the cold water. Even if I do, it'll be someone else. After all, I don't want to get beaten up by Sarah again. I can take a beating. I'll definitely use my face to shield you then. Someone I don't know isn't as trustworthy as someone I've known for over 20 years. Besides, I'm pure. Pick me, get lost. Dirty, so dirty. Water mixed with blood flowed down the drain. The floor was covered in blood-stained glass shards, and a broken, shattered mirror on the wall reflected a face covered in water droplets. Since that day, Daniel hadn't seen Grace for half a month, but he didn't even dare to send her a text message. He stubbornly guarded the steaming hot food on the table, watching it grow cold and unappetizing again and again. Grace liked hot food. Cold food was unappetizing, and Daniel had always been reluctant for her to touch it. But this time it was he himself who suffered it. He was soiled. Daniel knew Grace was the best person in the world and deserved only the finest things. If he wanted to retain any last shred of dignity, he should prepare a divorce agreement in advance, gracefully bringing their marriage to as perfect an end as possible. But every time he thought of it, his heart felt like it was being torn apart. Chloe, Mr. Daniel asked me if Ms. Grace is available. The receptionist's expression was odd. She tried to focus on the phone receiver, making sure her eyes didn't stray to the man opposite her. It was strange. Wasn't Mr. Daniel Grace's husband? He used to just walk in, so why was he asking today? The other end quickly replied. The receptionist breathed a sigh of relief and offered a standard smile. Mr. Daniel, Ms. Grace is available. You can go straight in. Thank you. The office door was open. Daniel saw the woman he had longed for day and night at a glance. But his heart felt cold, devoid of any joy. I looked at Daniel, whose face held no trace of a smile, and felt a little uneasy. He had lost a lot of weight in the 20+ days we hadn't seen each other. Daniel pushed a document towards me. I looked at the words divorce on the cover and said nothing. I simply shifted my gaze back to Daniel, wanting an explanation. Although she hadn't been home for a long time, he was ultimately the one at fault. Was it a bit too arrogant to just throw out a divorce agreement without even discussing it? I drafted a divorce agreement. Take a look first. If there's anything you're not satisfied with, tell me, and I'll take it back and revise it. Daniel's voice was low. If I listened carefully, I could even detect a slight tremor in his tone. I casually flipped through it. Given's character, he would never let me suffer a loss, but was this agreement a bit too hasty? Only one house, and all other assets go to me? Yes, or I can buy it for 20% above market value, but I'll need some time. I smiled, but after the smile, I felt a sense of powerlessness. Daniel, it's not your fault. Don't be so hard on yourself. I walked around the desk to Daniel's side and put the agreement back in his hand. I'm not satisfied with this version. Go back and keep revising it. Daniel's eyes instantly reddened. The answer he had simulated countless times in his heart had become reality. They were really getting divorced. But he truly didn't want a divorce. Grace, I was drugged that day. I never intended to betray you. I know. Every time I saw your smile, it wasn't a facade. I love you. Marrying you was my willing choice. You didn't force me. Finally, I wish you happiness. Ethan waved his hand. What are you thinking about so intently? I've been here for ages. Nothing, just that Daniel came by this afternoon. Ethan immediately sat upright, no longer touching the lunchbox he was fiddling with. What did he come for? How does he still have the nerve to see you after doing something like that? Say less if you can't say anything right. He came to discuss our divorce and even drafted an agreement in advance. He only asked for one house. Ethan's eyes brightened, but quickly turned cloudy, then bright again, his whole face like a palette. Finally, he slammed the table. What a calculating man. Grace, you've never lacked material possessions, and Daniel barely asking for anything is clearly manipulative, trying to make you feel soft and pity him. Mai is so kind-hearted, she definitely won't agree. I'm not even going to look at his pathetic agreement. Grace, leave this difficult divorce task to me. Professional matters should be handled by professionals. My lawyer has been through countless battles. An agreement is a piece of cake for him. And that's Sophia, heartless and ungrateful. You spent so much money on her, and now she's a highly educated returnee from abroad. I remember you two signed a contract for over 10 years, right? Well, not only is she annoying, but she also breached the contract. Hand her over to me too. I guarantee I'll handle everything perfectly for you. I grabbed a file and threw it at him. Hand it over to you? And what exactly is our relationship that I should hand it over to you? Ethan smiled eagerly, straightening the file, totally unserious. Why, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, of course. Besides, you're almost divorced. Once we're married, you'll be my wife, and I'll be all yours. What's wrong with helping my future wife solve a small problem? Who agreed to that? Do you want to lose your legs? I knew you had feelings for me, Grace, don't worry. I already told my parents about it 10 plus days ago. You know they've always really liked you, so getting their approval will be a piece of cake. I said nothing, even thinking Ethan was talking nonsense. Richard and Sarah agreeing to their son being a kept man for me? Absolutely ridiculous. Sure enough, I found a clue. I walked around to Ethan's side and pulled up his pant leg. Ethan instantly blushed like a shy young girl. Grace, what are you doing? How many times have you been beaten? Your legs are still covered in such frightening red marks. No wonder you kept making excuses when I asked you to come out for a walk recently. Turns out you were too sore to move. Since he'd been caught, Ethan didn't care anymore. What was the big deal about acting vulnerable? It was a piece of cake for him. Ethan put on his manipulative innocent act, pulling on my sleeve and shaking it back and forth. There was no cuteness, but my skin crawled. I unceremoniously pulled his big hands away and quickly drank some cold water to calm myself. Whether you agree or not, I'm determined to be your kept man. Besides, the main spouse was leaving anyway, so how was he a kept man? At most, he was just getting a head start on adapting to his future role. Sophia had been staking him out for 2 months, and finally, she stopped Daniel, her face pleading. Daniel, please help me. That person Grace has around her is hounding me like a dog, forcing me to pay back the money. Daniel didn't want to engage, but Sophia wouldn't let him leave. She stubbornly blocked his car door. Daniel looked at the culprit who had ruined his marriage, his face cold. Then pay it back. Once you pay the money, he'll naturally stop bothering you. Why should I pay it back? Besides, it's such a huge sum, I really can't get it together. Daniel, please help me again, I really have no other choice. Daniel didn't want to talk to her and directly pulled her away, but was still relentless. Daniel grabbed her by the neck and pressed her against the car door. Sophia, I'm not going to hold you accountable for ruining my marriage. Consider it payback for the pain I caused when we broke up. But that doesn't mean I have no resentment towards you. Let go. She and I are already divorced. Whether this is your revenge or for some other reason, from now on, I don't want anything to do with you. Whether you live or die is none of my concern. Sophia laughed when she heard that, her hand slowly moving to her abdomen. Unfortunately, your wish won't come true. You'll never be able to separate yourself from me. A child, she actually had a bastard child. Daniel had always dreamed of having a child with Grace. No, this couldn't be. It couldn't be kept. Get rid of it. Alright, marry me, and I'll listen to you. Daniel's grip tightened. He truly had murderous intent. Sophia's eyes went from confident to slowly filling with terror. You're crazy. Sophia couldn't break free, and the air grew thinner. Do you want Grace to have a murderer, F.O. or an ex-husband? Sure enough, Grace was his weakness. Sophia went limp, leaning against the car door and slowly stopping her coughing, wiping away tears from her eyes. A murderer ex-husband. What a huge stain that would be. The ex-husband of a certain conglomerate's heiress turns out to be a murderer. What explosive news. I can even imagine her and her company, friends, and family getting caught up in a media storm. Shut up. Oh, right, the deceased even had her ex-husband's child in her belly. What will the autopsy report say? Perhaps it will mention the child's gestational age. Wow, it was even marital infidelity. Do you really want to die? Daniel's eyes were bloodshot, while Sophia had grown calm instead. You won't lay a hand on me. You care too much about Grace, you couldn't bear for her to suffer even the slightest potential harm. With a gentle push, Sophia sent Daniel stumbling back. Tears once again streamed from her eyes. But this heartache, it all used to be hers. When they were young, they spoke of the future with aspirations, of children shyly, and had even fantasized about having a warm, loving home. Why did it all change? It was all because of Grace. It was her fault that the father of her unborn child despised it. She shattered Sophia's dreams and ruined her life. Fine, I agree. I'll marry you. Honey, have some grapes. Ethan hugged his wife, who was deep in work, clinging affectionately and making it quite a sight. What's gotten into you? Go away, I'm busy. Yes, Ethan and I got married, a turn of events I never expected. After a long period of turmoil, I thought I might never enter matrimony again, or at least not consider it for another 4 or 5 years. But to my surprise, I remarried only 3 months after my divorce. Yes, for the first time, I felt like a serial monogamist. The timing was all wrong, wasn't it? But was so persistent. He proposed 39 times in a single month. Even my nights were filled with nightmares of proposals. He was driving me crazy. One ordinary evening, I called Ethan and he came right over. I said yes. Then I told him to get out of my dreams. The only pity was that I still couldn't have children, and the doctors couldn't get any answers. Ethan claimed something was wrong with him and told me not to hold it against him. I laughed. A long, long time ago, Daniel had said the same thing. I wasn't stupid. Besides, I was rich and beautiful. I had everything others could only dream of since birth. A small flaw. It just keeps everyone from getting too envious, doesn't it? Besides, I have my sweet little darling. Go on, if you're so bored, go feed Kitty. It hasn't eaten in an hour, it must be hungry. Daniel and Sophia got married. With an ideal woman in his past, Eleanor actually had a very low opinion of her current daughter-in-law. She'd enticed Daniel into an early relationship at such a young age, and now she'd completely messed up his life. She was clearly a troublemaker. Eleanor wouldn't even accept a daughter-in-law like that for free, she'd consider her ill-fated. If it weren't for the child in her belly, Eleanor would have truly wanted to grab a broom and chase her out. Marriage? Sophia was dreaming. What did it matter if she was highly educated and returned from overseas? Wasn't it Grace's kindness that allowed her to study abroad in the first place? Especially because of her, most of the family's assets had been used to clean up her mess. Now, Eleanor even had to think twice before buying a handbag. It was absolutely ill-fated. That evening, Eleanor pulled Daniel aside. Did sign a prenuptial agreement with you? Especially about that penalty fee for her breach of contract. What's the deal with that? Daniel, no, she didn't. She and I are already husband and wife. Give me a few years, and I'll naturally earn that money back. Eleanor grew agitated upon hearing this, her voice rising involuntarily. How can that be right? She breached the contract herself. Why should our family pay that money off for her? Mom, lower your voice. Sophia is pregnant, she'll get upset if she hears you. Besides, I've already given her my debit card. If there's anything you want, you can just ask her for money directly. With a casual remark, he dropped a bombshell. Eleanor felt as if she must be hallucinating, her vision swam. I'm the one who should be upset right now. Why give it to her? And, too, her family is so wealthy and powerful, she doesn't need that small amount of money. She just had to. Daniel's face hardened. Mom. Alright, I won't speak ill of Grace. But, how did you become like this? Grace never handed over her debit card back then. That wretch, she must have instigated this. As soon as she came back, my son got divorced, the troublemaker. Who knows whose child is in her belly? That loose woman. Mom, it's inconvenient for me during work. Please take good care of her at home. A few months later, Sophia entered the delivery room, where she unfortunately suffered a severe hemorrhage. Only one could be saved, mother or child. Daniel chose to save the baby. As closed her eyes, she saw Daniel's cold gaze. She knew Daniel would seek revenge, that he had given her his debit card to deliberately stir up conflict, and she knew about Eleanor's constant torment. She endured everything she could. She had always thought that once she gave birth to the child, everything would be fine. Then, once she recovered, she would go out and find work to earn money, gradually making up for the penalty fee. And since Daniel loved children so much, he would surely forgive her over time. But she hadn't expected Daniel to hate her so deeply. All his supposed care was fake, he had always wanted her dead. Now, it was done. She was truly going to die. Daniel, I'm sorry, but our grievances have nothing to do with the child. In the future, please take good care of him, okay? Daniel scoffed, then bent down and whispered. Sophia's eyes widened, filled with disbelief, until she drew her last breath. He said, such a disgusting child. He said, he shouldn't even be in this world. He said, look at him closely. You'd better remember his face. He said, and remember to take your time on the road to the afterlife. Sophia died with her eyes wide open in shock. Eleanor found her ill-fated. Since she wasn't planning on paying her respects anyway, she chose a distant spot for the grave, just to keep it out of sight. Daniel ultimately sent the child to foster care. How could someone like him raise the next generation? To live out his days alone was the script he had chosen for himself. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your opinions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.